Did you hear that? Did you actually listen to what the President of the United States just said? He didn't say we're there to liberate the people. He didn't say we're there to restore democracy. He didn't even pretend it was about human rights. He said the quiet part out loud. We are going to run the country. And then, in the very next breath, he told you why. We have the greatest oil companies in the world, and we're going to be very much involved. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the New World Order. As of 2 a.m. yesterday morning, the sovereignty of nations is officially dead. The United States government, under the direct orders of President Donald Trump, executed a pre-dawn military raid on a foreign capital, Caracas, Venezuela. They blew the doors off the presidential palace. They engaged in a firefight in the streets of a sovereign nation, and they didn't just take out a terrorist leader in a cave somewhere. They bagged the head of state, Nicolas Maduro, and his wife, Cilia Flores, threw them on a black ops transport and flew them to New York to sit in a federal holding cell. The media is calling it a brilliant operation. They're calling it justice. CNN is practically popping champagne corks. Fox News is treating it like the Super Bowl. They are lying to you. They are distracting you with action movie headlines about Delta Force and narco-terrorism, so you don't look at the map, so you don't look at the reserves. This wasn't an arrest. This was a hostile corporate takeover with an army attached to it. And if you think this ends in Venezuela, you haven't been paying attention. Turn on your TV right now. Go ahead, flip through the channels. What do you see? You see the same recycled talking points being vomited out by every suit in Washington and New York. Maduro was a dictator. He was a drug lord. The people are free. Let's be clear. Nicolas Maduro was no saint. The man was a disaster for his people. The economy was in shambles. The corruption was rampant. But since when has being a bad leader been the legal justification for the United States Marines to kick down your front door and kidnap you in your pajamas? If that's the standard, why aren't we raiding Riyadh? Why aren't we landing helicopters in Beijing? The mainstream media needs you to believe this is about drugs. They are peddling this narrative that Nicolas Maduro was the kingpin of the cartel of the Suns, flooding American streets with cocaine. That is the script. That is the cover story. Attorney General Pam Bondi, remember her? She's the one waving the indictment in the air right now, talking about the full wrath of American justice. But here is the context they are stripping away. This raid didn't happen in a vacuum. This wasn't a sudden reaction to a new crime. This was the climax of a 5-month squeeze play that we have been tracking on this channel while everyone else was talking about celebrity gossip. Since August of last year, the Trump administration has been parking warships off the Venezuelan coast. They've been bombing what they called narco boats. They've been seizing oil tankers in international waters, acts of piracy that, if anyone else did them, would be an act of war. They told you it was about drugs. But look at the timing. This raid happens exactly 2 months after major reports surfaced that Venezuela's oil infrastructure was finally collapsing, to the point where it could be bought for pennies on the dollar. It happens right after Maduro refused an ultimatum in November to step down and hand over the keys. This isn't about cocaine. If this was about cocaine, we'd have invaded Mexico 20 years ago. This is about the largest proven oil reserves on the planet. 300 billion barrels of crude, sitting under the feet of a government that refused to play ball with Exxon and Chevron. The establishment, both Republican and Democrat, is cheering this. Why? Because the machine feeds on conflict, and it feeds on resources. Trump isn't draining the swamp here. He's stocking it with crude oil. He's doing what the neocons in the Bush era only dreamed of doing. He didn't just invade a country. He repossessed it. Let's look at the facts. not the spin, the cold, hard facts of what went down in the last 24 hours. At 2 a.m. local time, residents in Caracas reported explosions. Not small arms fire, explosions. The ground shook. Witnesses saw a low-flying aircraft, likely stealth helicopters, swarming the La Carlota military airfield and the Fuerte Tiuna base. This is the heart of the Venezuelan military apparatus. We're told it was Delta Force, the same unit that got Baghdadi. This wasn't a diplomatic mission. It was a decapitation strike. Now, look at the legal justification. Attorney General Pam Bondi says Maduro and his wife are indicted for narco-terrorism conspiracy. She says they turned Venezuela into a criminal enterprise. But let's look at the evidence they've been using to build this case for years. The cartel of the suns theory has always been shaky intelligence, often based on testimony from defectors who were paid by the U.S. government. Is there drug running in Venezuela? Absolutely. Is the president of the country the Tony Montana of South America? The evidence has always been thin. But it doesn't matter if it's true. It only matters if it sells. It's the weapons of mass destruction of 2026. But the real smoking gun isn't in the indictment. It's in the press conference. I want to go back to that clip of Donald Trump. I want you to really process what he said. We're going to run the country. That is a direct quote. Not, we will help the interim government. Not, we will support free elections. We will run it. And then, U.S. oil companies will fix the badly broken infrastructure. Do you know what that means in plain English? It means no-bid contracts. It means Halliburton 2.0. It means that before the dust even settles in Caracas, executives from the biggest energy firms in Houston are going to be landing in private jets to carve up the carcass of PDVSA, the Venezuelan state oil company. Semaphore is reporting that Trump has been laying the groundwork for this with Republicans in Congress for months. He's been briefing them. He got Lindsey Graham on board, shocking, I know, who is now tweeting "Free Cuba," as if this is a game of Risk. And look at the offer. In November, Trump gave Maduro an ultimatum. Take the money and leave, or we come for you. Maduro refused. He went on TV, he danced, he mocked Trump. He thought he was safe because of Russia. He thought Putin would protect him. But that's the other piece of evidence here. Silence from Moscow until it was too late. Did a deal go down? Did the US trade something in Ukraine to get a free hand in Venezuela? We don't know yet. But when a Russian ally gets snatched and the Kremlin only issues a polite clarification request, you know the fix was in. This was a transaction. Venezuela was the asset. The US military was the repo man. The reaction to this has been the most revealing part. In Caracas, it's chaos. Vice President Delcy Rodriguez is on state TV demanding proof of life. She looks terrified. And she should be. She knows she's next. The Venezuelan government is calling for the people to rise up. But let's be honest, the military just watched their commander-in-chief get airlifted out by Americans. They aren't going to fight. They are going to cut deals. They are looking for the number to the CIA station chief right now so they can switch sides and keep their pensions. Internationally, the hypocrisy is breathtaking. France says it violates international law. Oh, really? Thank you, Paris. I'm sure that strongly worded letter is really going to keep Trump up at night. The UK, Prime Minister Keir Starmer, ran to the microphones to say, "The UK was not involved." He's terrified of being dragged into another Iraq. But notice what he didn't do. He didn't condemn it. He said, "We should uphold international law," which is diplomatic speak for, "Please don't be mad at us, Mr. Trump." And here at home, the Democrats are confused. They want to hate it because it's Trump, But they can't hate it because they've spent 10 years calling Maduro a monster. So you have Senator Tim Kaine mumbling about congressional authorization. Congressional authorization? Senator, the president just conquered a country on a Saturday morning before you had your coffee. The Constitution, as far as this administration is concerned, is a suggestion. J.D. Vance is taking a victory lap, tweeting that the stolen oil must be returned. Returned? Returned to whom? Since when was Venezuelan oil ours? This is the reaction of a political class that has completely abandoned any principle of non-intervention. They are high on the power. They are drunk on the success of a tactical operation, completely ignoring the strategic nightmare they just unleashed. So, what happens next? I'm going to tell you exactly what happens next week. First, you're going to see a transition council announced. It will be made up of Venezuelan exiles who haven't lived in the country for 20 years, mostly operating out of Miami. They will be flown in on U.S. military transports. Second, the contracts. Watch the stock market on Monday morning. Watch the energy sector. You will see Exxon, Chevron, and maybe a few new players with close ties to the administration announce humanitarian energy partnerships with the new Venezuelan Authority. They will claim they are there to restore power to the hospitals. In reality, they will be securing the Orinoco Belt. Third, the purge. The narco-terrorism indictments won't stop with Maduro. They will be used to round up anyone in the Venezuelan military or government who opposes the U.S. presence. It will be a clean sweep. And finally, the gas prices. Trump will use this to flood the market. He's going to crash the price of oil to kill the Russian war economy and squeeze Iran. It's a masterstroke of economic warfare, but the cost is American morality. We have officially become the empire that simply takes what it wants. Mark my words, by next Sunday, there will be a Trump Hotel Caracas proposed on the coastline. They're going to try to bury the reality of this operation under a mountain of flags and mission accomplished banners. They want you to feel good about the bad guy being caught, so you don't ask who gets the loot. They don't want this information getting out. If you want to help us fight the algorithm and spread the truth, you know what to do.